let's get back to Spider-Man. It's the recent Spider-Man cartoon from like a few years ago.
Okay, welcome back to another interview with Ryan Balkwill, author of RDB Reviews, WordPress.com.
Yeah.
Ryan and I were discussing Marvel Spider-Man Series 2, which is this post by Ryan.
Yeah.
And we have a bit more to cover on it. And this is spoiler-free, by the way.
For those who haven't got a Disney Plus account, along with all the other great Disney content on there, you could choose either this or any of the old Marvel cartoons to get started on your Disney Plus experience.
So when we were talking Mandalorian, it seemed like the only thing available on Disney Plus at the time was The Mandalorian, like it was such a new service back in April, May. So has it filled up with lots more stuff now, Disney Plus?
Well, right now, filled with a lot of stuff for Disney and National Demographic.
Okay.
Yeah, as in all of real-life documentary. There's like an old classic Disney cartoon, Gargoyles.
Oh, that's a great cartoon.
Yeah, Gargoyle, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, which is just mentioned a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hannah Montana, That's So Raven, Boys Meet World,
I remember that, yeah.
And the spin-off, Girls Meet World, Lizzie McGuire, which actually that's coming back now with Hilary Duff is now older, a handful more.
So your Disney Plus account will get you all that.
And also a lot of the classic movies, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, and a handful more.
You've mentioned that all the Disney films were. I think what we're thinking is new content. So what new content would Disney Plus have added? So Marvel Spider-Man Series 2, that's kind of a new content for Disney Plus.
Well, just like a few years, I think it was out a few years ago, Disney XD, because basically can't be bothered to put it on their main channel anymore, because that's going out of business. That's joined the likes of Star Wars Rebels, Mega SD, which is like real steel, but like kid-friendly.
Okay, robots.
Yeah, many robots. It's got recent cartoons like Jack Long, the American Dragon, and Gravity Falls, and Kim Possible, when we just talked about, and got the versions, which are like a musical comedy with the daughters of famous Disney villains. Yeah. Yeah, and it got a lot of Disney classic musicals on there, like High School Musical, Camp Rock, and all your favourites on there. And the new content on there, they got like a documentary series of the High School Musical name on it, called High School Musical, the series.
Okay.
But it's like not the original cast. It's like a mockumentary of it.
So they're making fun of it, do you mean?
Yeah, I think the series hosted by Kirsten Bell, which is like a variety series about like old high school performers, which are older now, like bringing them together to perform one last time for their school play.
Oh.
Yeah, as in one night only. So they got Marvel's Hero Project, which is actually a really like eye-watering show, really. Like it tells in a style of a Marvel comic, but it's tells about real-life heroes, children, about like becoming their own heroes in their own communities, battling like serious mental problems. Person grew up with one hand, or a person that can't see, or just like someone battling with mental illness, and how they like challenges they overcome to become actual heroes in their own community.
Wonderful. Okay. Sounds like quite an uplifting watch. Better than watching reality TV as we're used to it, where it's more about making fun of people or judging people. So it's nice to have an uplifting story.
Yeah, and also I think they just released a brand new one just recently called Becoming, which is like you know those documentary series where they take like famous athletes and singers and performers and they shown their own stories, like the Eagle audio story we just talked about last year. Yeah, like that. It's like that format.
Okay.
Like people, you got people there like Ashley Tyndale from High School Musical, Rob Mikowski, and you got like big, well-known singers. Get up on the phone sec. Oh, here we are. And Anthony Davidson, Anthony Davies, excuse me, and like people like Adam Devine, Nick Cannon, and Julianne Hough, which is like a dance professional dancer.
They are cast members of High School Musical, and this is kind of their backstory, how they ended up being, what they had to go through to get famous, I suppose.
Correct, indeed. And
Okay.
also they got stuff, a lot of Muppets content, and Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars.
This is Disney Plus has all of that under its umbrella, from Jim Henson to Star Wars to High School Musical.
And National Geographic.
And National Geographic, which you mentioned when we talked about Mandalorian. You mentioned National Geographic then. Would you say, Ryan, because we were complaining about Netflix cobbling together content and calling it a film because they have this need to just push things out there, is Disney Plus a bit more manicured? Is it a bit more careful about what it puts out? And it's not such a rush. It's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, they are careful.
Yeah.
The first one, when I actually got it, Marvel's Hero Project, and when they like release all new episodes every Friday with some of their latest content, or sometimes like they release new ones every week, but now we're into September. Sometimes they release some of their new stuff out there already. Other shows they are just finished, like done, never shown on TV ever again, either for their other partners, ABC or National Geographic, they just put them on there, like already. So yeah, they got other original stuff on here as well. Magic, the show you were talking about earlier, The Mandalorian, which the second season is coming.
Yay!
And there's the final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars. And there's a documentary of one of their Disney favourite musical composers, Howard Houseman, the Lady in the Tramp remake, and The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, cool.
And there's like Family Sundays, which is like ones for like new stuff to watch every Sundays. Oh, here we are. It's a series about Disney-themed DIY projects.
Disney-themed DIY?
Yes.
So people might want to build the Disney castle or something?
Yeah, or basically just decorate or make their own DIY, like similar what we do in the Arts Cafe in terms of models or everything.
Okay, cool. Disney is involved in this how? Are they working with ordinary people to make Disney stuff? Or is it more that people make Disney stuff and then send it into Disney? How is Disney involved?
Yeah, I think they work for ordinary people because they're like a family-friendly product.
Yeah.
That's been going on for decades.
Oh, yes.
And either they got stuff like either a game show or a cooking competition, like in the style of MasterChef.
So it's kind of interactive with the public. Disney obviously famously just make really good high-end animation and then put it out there in the world. But now they're getting a bit more like a broadcaster or a network, and they're trying to make other programs because they've always done kids TV since I was a child. I'm just thinking of the evolution of Disney. They've gone from making films to making programs to now making reality TV, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. You're almost correct there.
Cool.
And some still doing their shorts as well.
And I'll just say, that was a feature on your review page in the end credit sequence that we make for your videos. It shows the fork forky animation or whatever. So we were talking about Disney Plus has these shorts featuring Pixar characters that you can only see on Disney Plus.
Yes, and they also got like ones for National Demographic.
Yeah.
Like Weird But True, which is a nature show.
Yeah, yeah. National Geographic tends to go around the world looking at interesting places that you wouldn't have heard about otherwise. And it's a publication, but it's also a documentary or a channel. There's the National Geographic channel on Sky. I'm sure the Disney version is that product. They've just purchased it.
And they got like a lot of their original films, like I said, Lady the Tramp remake. There's one with William Dafoe, Argo, from last year. Magic Camp, which is like teaching kids how to do magic.
Okay.
And Muppets Now, which is like take what works for the Muppet Show, and instead of doing it from the stage, we do it digitally. As in like what everyone does now, like you and I, as in Channel 9.
Okay, yeah.
Episodes like different clips and different like varieties, just cut into like 3 minutes each. There's a cooking show with the Swedish chef, or there's a science show with Dr. Funkin Honeydew and Pika.
So that's kind of like the Muppets program always was, but they've done it in a kind of new Skype, Zoom, online way.
Live stream.
Maybe. Live stream. Okay, right.
Live stream show, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And also there's science show with the science clip show with Funkin Honeydew and Pika. The chef show with the Swedish chef. And this new female chicken Muppet, which I actually can't remember his name.
Chicken Muppets, great. That's all we need to call them. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a chat cafe style show with either Miss Piggy or Kermit the Frog, which they like chatting to people like RuPaul, or like actually Plaza Pizza, or basically like a chat talking show in a cafe, or my personal favourite, Medina Fashion live stream show about fashion with Linda Cole and a few other Muppets.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Miss Piggy and a group of other Muppets, and only Linda Corneli.
Right.
But also that does feel like they're like trying to take on like find no one else to do each week. Because of the pandemic, they're just like, oh, bad.
That's a great sound effect.
Oh, sorry, that's just my dad in the background.
Okay.
But there's other ones like Binnies of Firm, Candace Against the Universe, which is based on the TV show with the same name, Binnies of Firm. Or there's a new late night talk show parody, which are basically like parody of late night talk shows.
Is this still in the Muppets universe?
Made by the Jim Henson Company, called Earth to North.
Okay.
Which is a comedy parody show of late night sitcom. Sorry, late night TV shows.
I'm with you. Talk shows. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And they got like a range of guests from Ben Kingsley to Alan Richard. I think it's like the kids from, the Australian Bencher. Joe McHale, Ruth Paul Charlies, and Rachel Bloom, and Rayburn Stallone, and also you get a lot of this is Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian. He needs a paycheck.
Well, good for him. His name doesn't come to mind because I've seen him in 2 Star Wars movies and 1 Batman movie, all of which were in the last century. Is Lando any good in, sorry, tangent, but we're still talking Disney.
Yeah,
is Lando any good in the last Star Wars film?
Oh yes, in The Rise of Skywalker, he merely just do like Star Destroyer, just joining the fight.
Okay, so he's not in it for very long. Because in the trailer he appears, and that makes me go, cool! But then if he's not much of a character, they're just trying to draw you in with him as a teaser. I don't know.
Yeah. But trust me, it's like such a long time since I've seen that film.
Okay.
As of right now, they got new films on there, like the recent Mulan film, which is a complete pain because you had to pay £20 for premium access to that movie.
Or you don't have to. You can choose not to.
Which you had to wait till December to watch it for free.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be available with your Disney subscription eventually, but right now they're hoping to rake in more money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they got films like, you'd probably never this one, called Spies in Disguise.
No idea, Ryan. In fact, I've not recognized any of the names you've said because I don't really know this content.
Which is this one with Will Smith and Tom Holland, which is just another family-friendly spy movie.
Yeah, I think any film that has the word spy in it is going to be made for kids nowadays. If it's not Spy Kids, it's My Spy or whatever it was called. Actual spy movies tend to have more interesting names.
And they got like some of 20th Century Fox's old, like the old X-Men movies. Big.
The Tom Hanks.
Yes, the big one with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Why Are You Never Sleeping? And All Runnings and the old Roger Rabbit movie.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the Nadia movies and The Princess Diary and Edward Scissorhands.
Basically, if you have a Disney Plus account, all of this is available.
Correct.
Okay.
Which you probably families will enjoy. Battle with Beautiful Spider-Man. It's basically like Spider-Man and his amazing friend saving New York from saving the world from trouble.
As they do, yeah.
This series, I think the biggest ones were Dr. Octavius tried to redeem himself for what he did last season, which he betrayed his friend, betrayed the school, he lost his diploma of being allowed entering into Mistmount High because he got himself into evil.
This is Peter Parker we're talking about.
Oh, sorry, Dr. For those who haven't watched last season, Season 1 is available on Disney Plus. As in, immediately at this recording, yes, they started off as friends in the first series, but over their love of passion science.
Right. I didn't understand that Doc Ock was now supposed to be the same age as Peter Parker and that they were all at school together. What we covered last interview is that Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's consciousness and that Peter Parker is, the superior Spider-Man because he's got Doc Ock in his brain. We didn't cover that Doc Ock is now supposed to be the same age. Doc Ock is meant to be a kid who's at the same school as Peter Parker. That's news to me.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry. You mentioned that they all talk science stuff, but I thought you meant Peter Parker and these other characters like Gwen Stacy and other people you mentioned. So sorry.
Okay, yes. In this current continuity, as in this cartoon, yes, they're all friends, and by the end of season 1, Octavius is refused entry into the school after they've betrayed them. So fast forward to season 2, it's starting off fine. The school is rebuilding itself. Peter Parker, Miles, Gwen and Spider-Girl, I can't remember her name, I just call her Spider-Girl, are both promoted as head scientists at this high school. And Octavius in this series goes through a arc of trying to redeem himself with the school, with his old friends, and trying to, basically they are trying to learn how to be a better people because of science.
Peter Parker and Doc Ock have that in common. They're both scientists, and scientists generally want to do the right thing. But then you've got the evil scientist and the good scientist. So they're trying to make Doc Ock a conflicted scientist. He's not necessarily out to take over the world. He is just a scientist, but then it kind of goes dark side for him.
Yeah.
And he ends up being a bad guy.
So basically, when season 2 began, just let you know one way, Norman Osborn is dead. As in not appear in this show at all.
Okay.
But it's been like mentioned a few times by his son Harry. Season 2 is more like a really good balance of establishing the characters, but also mixing with iconic Spider-Man stories.
Saying that there are these iconic Spider-Man stories mixed in with this new social take, that they're actually socializing. They're not just good guys and bad guys, they're friends.
And like the Superior Spider-Man, which Peter in the end he gets his body back. Octopus gets his own body back when Peter is re-controlled of his body back together now. It's like the battle between two personalities. But instead of in the comics, if you do read them, if you have the time, if you don't, that's okay, I understand. It's Octavius is dead, so he gained his conscience in Peter's body, but instead it's most of them have body switches. So Octavius is in Peter's body,
yeah,
and so Peter in Octavius's body. They try to redo each other and better them as people. But their friends are is that really Peter? That's just Octavius talking in Peter's body. This season introduced a lot of Spider-Man classic iconic characters like J. Jonah Jameson, Robbie.
When you say introduce, they were introduced about 50 years ago.
As in this current cartoons versions of the characters.
Okay, so rehash is another way of putting it.
Yeah, like Robbie Robertson, the Daily Bugle, and J. Jonah Jameson. And instead of a big boss of a newspaper reporter or a live streamer from the Spider-Man PS4 video game, he's actually a live streamer on this show, but still at the same J. Jonah Jameson's hang of hating Spider-Man. It's hey Spider-Man, give me a waffle.
Trying to engage with the social media aspect of people's lives nowadays.
Social media cloud, yes.
Yeah, so it's not like it was back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early noughties, but still the same thing. It's superhero fighting crime.
Yes. And you do get a few appearances from Avengers, but not all the team coming together help Spider-Man deal with evil. The pros quickly that I like the chemistry between Spider-Man and his amazing friends, and I was surprised they gone to places. They did surprise me a lot. Cons for this season is the beginning of the season was not strong to start off with. The Benedict Strange, Doc Ock said, the bloke in the old Spidey 90s cartoon, Alice's Smines.
Yeah, vaguely. Scientist.
Yes, the one in the wheelchair. The one in the wheelchair.
I might be confusing him with other characters.
Oh, never mind. He Smines in this series is still the scientist from the 90s cartoon, but he'd mutate himself into a grown man so he can walk again to make him responsible for the creations of the villains in this show.
So if I understand correctly, he is the main bad guy in a sense. He turns the other characters into bad guys.
Yes, and also the villain designs on this show is not that impressive.
Yeah.
As in they a kid-friendly, hand-drawn animation.
What's the trailer? And yeah, the style looks like it's aimed almost at CBeebies, or that would be children's television, young children's television. It's almost got this softer edge. Everyone's very young, thin, childlike looking. Whereas the 90s cartoon that I love is a lot more grown up.
And mine.
Peter Parker is more of a grown-up. He works a grown-up job. He deals with grown-up issues. This program feels a bit babyish by comparison.
Yeah, pretty much. But I will admit, well, I do agree with what you say. I like this one and the last Spider-Man cartoon, which they are like tried to do, which is Ultimate Spider-Man, which is more like Deadpool than Spider-Man. But this one, like you said, it's more babyish.
There's a huge fan base behind Spider-Man, and I think that's why, in my opinion, that's why Disney keeps remaking it, because the fans love it so much.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's less that someone has a really interesting idea of what to do with Spider-Man, and more just that it will make us lots of money if we keep putting out Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
that's why I still got Spider-Man toys to this very day.
That's great. Enjoy them. I'm just saying, I don't think they're making Spider-Man for any artistic reasons now. I think they're doing it because it's an easy cash cow.
To be honest, it's probably like too hard for the two get next to me to easily understand at all, really. So that's what I would say about Marvel Spider-Man for season 2.
Uh-huh.
But I will say season 3 of Spider-Man is not available for Disney Plus yet. As in what I talk about season 2 or 3, but season 3 like focus on the Maximum Venom storyline, which is like a couple episodes shorter than the previous seasons.
I caught the very end of Venom 2, the movie with Tom Holland the other day, as I do.
Tom Hardy.
And I just thought, Tom Hardy, sorry, not Tom. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Tom Hardy is Venom. The two Toms. I loved Venom in the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s. I thought he was a really terrifying character. But I don't understand why Venom and Spider-Man are so popular. I don't get why there's such a fan appeal.
Well,
because I'm old. I've been there for 30 years.
For you.
Go on.
Because, like you said before, it deal with like real life issues like Peter Parker is a nerdy guy which got bitten by a radioactive spider and he gained confidence in himself. Now he can see anything.
Stan Lee said, actually, when he invented the character, specifically, they wanted to create a character that the fans could empathize with because the fans of the comics were young boys and they wanted a character that looks like them. So Peter Parker is traditionally supposed to be like a teenager, a skinny, nerdy runt, as you say, and then he becomes kind of powerful. In the cartoon that I love, he is actually quite grown up anyway, and I always found that confusing. Like, why is he supposed to be a nerd when he looks great? He looks like a Ken doll, and he's buff, you know.
Ken doll?
Ken, as in Barbie and Ken. He looks like a doll. He looks like a perfect man in the cartoon from the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
In
the 90s show, I can see what you mean there, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look nerdy at all, does he? And it never made sense that he would be this kind of shy around women, nerdy character. But I understand that that's the essence of the character. He's not supposed to be heroic seeming, you know. He's meant to be just a kid.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Very loud.
And Eddie Brock is like a bruiser.
Yeah, in the cartoon, I mean, I'll just speak from my experience, if I may, quickly. Eddie Brock is just stock bad guy. He's the jock. He's not a redeeming character at all. So when he becomes Venom, it just makes sense. Venom would pick this guy because he's there, be manipulated. I don't get turning him into a good guy. I've not watched all the Venom movies all the way through. I have this thing, Ryan. It seems like Spider-Man is put on a pedestal above, and Wolverine to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand the fascination with these characters because they're just like any other character to me. He has powers. He has a backstory. He fights crime. I don't understand why it keeps getting remade, but I think it's because of the money. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really.
Actually, glad you mentioned the Yes-Men.
Okay.
Because, to be honest, the Yes-Men as a brand, to me, other than Wolverine, these are actually just falling out with the Yes-Men. Actually, like, you wake up one day and if someone say to you, tell us about the Yes-Men.
Brilliant, Ryan. You're getting to where I am now. You're getting into this kind of I can't be bothered anymore mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Yeah. Yeah. Good for you.
But
You're not quite at the dark side just yet.
X-Men just dropping off the face of the earth.
Yeah, because man, they did all those prequels and then they kept changing the cast. I haven't watched Logan. Apparently that one's good.
Oh,
if I skip all the rest of them and just watch that one.
Brilliant.
That's all it was. I mentioned the history of Stan Lee inventing Spider-Man. So Stan Lee invented the X-Men as a way of relating to the civil rights movement. He was aware in the 60s that there was this thing called the civil rights movement that was building apace, and he wanted to do something that related to the sense of persecution. So the X-Men are kind of a stand-in for black people. They are people who are oppressed, and they just want to live like normal people. And some of them are keen on starting a war with normal people, white people, and some of them want to live with them.
Yeah.
So the crux of X-Men is you've got some X-Men, some mutants that want to live in harmony and some that want to go to war with the humans. And that's basically Stan Lee trying to get kids to empathize with civil rights struggle. That's why the X-Men was first written.
Well, yeah, other than the characters, which nothing against the characters, like Cyclops and Wolverine, Storm and Jean Grey, and all those ones, and of course Wolverine, but just the brand had just fallen off my radar so much. Probably the overthrow of Marvel popularity, because they're mostly like the ones I know now from the public when I'm older, like Avengers, Captain America and Iron Man, Incredible Hulk. That's all the rage at the moment.
Yeah.
But I still got some of the original X-Men movies, including like First Class, 1, 2, 3, Origins, which is, and Days of Future Past that I really liked.
I love Apocalypse as a character, but I've not seen any of these movies. 90s cartoon, because we were talking Spider-Man 90s cartoon. Both of them are brilliant. And the X-Men cartoon successfully did that thing where they are powerful, they have powers, but they're also persecuted. And they're looked down on, they're spat on by normal people. And I loved that as a kid, as a bullied kid. You know, that made me feel really good. That although they've got powers, they are also subject to people judging them, being nasty to them. That's different. As Superman, no one has a bad word to say about it. It's so boring.
Oh yeah, like similar thing to Fantastic Four, because the only one is the Thing.
He hates being
because
the Thing.
Like, first of all, number one, Mr. Fantastic is like another genius in the Marvel Universe, just like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner.
Doctor Strange.
Incredible, Invisible Woman. Who can turn invisible? Who else can turn invisible? Black Widow.
Right.
The Human Torch. Who can light themselves on fire? Pyro for the X-Men. They're like the same power set, but they are different people. That's all I can remember. The only ones I can believe is the Thing.
Yeah.
Probably because he's a bag of rocks, and probably I collect action figures of him more times.
He's a really cool drawn character. I love the Thing. And I love how grumpy he is and how he does the right thing just because, fine, whatever.
Getting to punch up with the Hulk all the time.
It kind of makes sense. The X-Men cut, there's this group of men who persecute them in the first series. They kidnap Jubilee. And there's a great line where she says to one of these guys who's like a neo-Nazi, she says, "What did I do wrong?" And he says, "You were born." So it's just this idea of it's racism, basically. The X-Men is about racism. In the second series or third series, there's this Apocalypse promises to cure the X-Men. You know, he brings them to Muir Island off Scotland, and really he wants to make the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but he convinces some mutants that he can fix them, make them normal. And again, it ties into the civil rights movement. It's wonderful. It's, as a child, I love that.
I'm sorry, yeah, I see what you mean. But every time I hear the word Four Horsemen in my head, this is just me. When I hear Four Horsemen in my head, I just do this.
Oh.
Yeah, the four fingers in my head. Mention the four horsemen for pro wrestling.
Okay, so for me, Spider-Man exists in the 90s. I don't care about what's happening now, but I'm happy to talk about it with you.
Yeah. And like with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Apparently he's quite good. I haven't seen
he's not that bad. He's not that bad.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's quite skinny, he's tiny. He's a little nerdy guy. That's what Spider-Man probably should be.
Oh, yeah.
Not a big, buff, muscular dude.
Yeah, but I feel like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, I think it's just a disappointing trilogy, really.
I feel bad for Andrew Garfield because he wasn't given a chance.
Oh, yeah, good God. The actor wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
It's just Sony.
Yeah, it's the corporations, man. The money.
Yeah, screw them.
Yeah. On that note, Ryan, screw the money. It is just gone 12, so we have to wrap up now.
That's okay. I understand. Thank you very much. And I'm glad we all got through this conversation without a lot of noise going on.
Thank you very much, Ryan, and we'll talk to you next week.